Hello, welcome Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 23 Cohesive and Divisive Dimensions of Religion, we are going to start our lecture with topic Religion in India, a unity in diversity. The prehistoric cave paintings discovered in different parts of India and the ancient burial chambers known as dolmen and tumul has revealed that the folks and tribes which in the past inhabited the subcontinent were inspired by religion. The Vedic culture, which flourished in India in the 3 millennia before Christ, no doubt absorbed many of the tribal beliefs and practices. Religions in India do not reject the legacy of the past but absorb it or modify it. The Vedic settlements, which were located on the bank of Saraswati in the northwestern India, pursued a sacrificial cult in which the celestial figures like Indra, Varuna, Surya, and Agni were worshipped. The observation of Max Muller that Hindus worship these personifications of nature because they are in awe of their might is not correct. There was a reciprocal relationship between man and God. In fact, it was in the West Asian religions that people were in awe of the transcendental God. In the post-Vedic development known as Bhaktism, instead of fear, the man and God are bound in an affectionate relationship. For example, Krishna is the beloved of Radha or kin of Arjuna. Islam's stand was modified in Sufism, where God is the beloved of the fakir. The Vedic culture was centered around a potlatch type of a system in which valuables like honey, silk, cereals were burnt. Animals also were sacrificed in order to appease the god. In turn, the gods were expected to bestow on the sacrificers a healthy progeny, ensure good rains and crops, and success in warfare. The implication of this was that the available surplus was distributed to the kith and kin and the invitees in the form of gifts. Karl Polanyi has stated that in a reciprocal economy, surplus is not accumulated. Hence, there was no class formation in it. The Vedic society was a folk society, that is, without structural inequality. In the post-Vedic society of India, there were numerous republican states. Buddha and Mahavira were born in a republican setting, where the norms of equality was high. The ruler was a first person among equals. The Buddhist Jataka tales give much evidence about the early states. But when the empires rose in North India, these small states were superseded. In fact, Kautilya's Arthashastra recommends an aggressive strategy to take over the small states, so that the Maurya Empire would not face political competition. In the south, however, the Cholas, Palwas, and Pandyas rulers pursued a decentralized polity. The village panchayatas maintained genuine autonomy. The kings were mainly engaged in defending the territory against invaders and maintaining administrative cohesion within the state. The central aspect of the Vedic society was the maintenance of an interdependence between cosmos and the earth. Hence, the rulers led by the Brahmin priest regularly conducted the fire sacrifices. It was clearly a two-way process. The gods protected society through the provision of good rains, surplus crops, and ensured health to people and livestock. At the same time, by receiving the offering of the people during fire sacrifice, the gods retained their heavenly positions. Therefore, a dutiful ruler, by performing sacrifice, contributed to the good of both cosmic and earth. If man depended on God, the latter also required support from the former. In the legends, Indra is upset when Vishwamitra undertakes tapasya. Likewise, Indra is upset when the people of Vraja stop worshipping him following the advice from the child god Krishna. These acts disrupted the old order based on reciprocal ties. As mentioned above, the Indian approach to religion is not based on fear. In the West Asian religion, God is transcendental, and hence he does not depend on the acts of people. Instead, the people are at the mercy of the mighty God. This is an underlying reason for extraordinary importance attached to the kinship in India. Any ordinary mortal can become a king, but once he assumes kingship, his good rule ensures peace on both cosmos and earth. As mentioned in the introduction, the sects and cults which have arisen in the India from time to time have responded to the ethnic diversity of Indian people by throwing up alternative paths to the attainment of the final goal described by moksha or nirvana. As Vivekananda and Aurobindo noted in their work Vedic Wisdom has guided all the subsequent sacred documents such as epic, Purana, etc. These later products are not outside the Vedic framework. A few words would be necessary to clarify the relationship between Vedas and Upanishads. The Upanishads, like Buddhism and Jainism, de-emphasized animal slaughter and materialistic goals of Vedic culture. Instead, they urge people to pursue the spiritual path by giving new meanings to the action. For example, sacrifice means the giving up of ego. Likewise, Vedic rites have strong symbolic meaning. For example, the desire for sun has an aesthetic meaning, and the suns are a metaphor for ideas. The fire sacrifice refers to the inner life of man. It enables him to remove the ego and acquire new ideas to guide him forward on the spiritual path. Thus, the sacred texts in India, whether Hindu, Buddhist, or Jain, retain the same basic tenets, although numerous alternative explanations are put forth by them. In sum, all important religious development in Hinduism up to the present day can only be placed under the rubric Sanatana Dharma. From the time of Vedic rishis till the present, basic ethical and spiritual ideas have continued. To that extent, Buddha, Mahavira, Kabir, Nanak, Shankara, Ramanuja and Swami Narayan did not reject the Sanatana tradition. They only modified some parts of it and made it more dynamic. As mentioned earlier, the communal phase started during British rule, especially the later part. The early rulers of British East India Company did not interfere in religious affairs, but the later rulers followed a divisive policy. for instance, under the aegis of the superiority of Aryan races. They brought about rift between the different sections of people through systematic disinformation. The Hindus and the Sikhs were encouraged to believe that they belonged to separate races. The Hindus and Muslims came to distrust each other to the extent that it would not be possible for them to live side by side. The Aryans and the Dravidian languages were declared as coming from separate origins. The martial races were quite distinct from non-martial races. To facilitate such substantiated view, books were written and articles published in journals of ideology. Besides, the administrative measures taken up during the British rule created a sense of separation. The colonial era was marked by the existence of about 600 princely states which had entered into treaty with the foreign rule. Under the treaty, the same cultural and linguistic area was parcelled into small states, which had their own army, currency, and railway network. In the first part of 20th century, the partition of Bengal in 1911 and the partition of the country in 1947-48 was large-scale events. These were the culminations of increasing communal tension in the Indian subcontinent. The various census operations which lasted till 1931 had heightened the caste consciousness of the people. In the 1930 and 40, the rise of the Dravidian movement in South and the anti-Brahman movement in Maharashtra added a new divisive dimension to national consciousness. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.